it's completely normal that you're scared of a wall of water coming at you. Often we're scared of something just because we don't really know what's happening. It's just a lack of information that makes you more fearful. And so our approach is first giving you the information that is missing, that's making you scared of those certain things. You're not just gonna get over them, they're gonna be there, but how can you work with them instead of like them holding you back?
Do you struggle with your paddle power? Well, I can go months without surfing and roll to pumping waves and surf 3-hour sessions multiple times a day after day after day by using the Basis Paddle Trainer. It was a total game changer for me, and it can be for you too. These things actually work, unlike elastic resistance bands. You can train your paddling anytime, anywhere, so you can catch more waves and have more fun. Just 10 to 20 minutes a couple times a week, and you're gonna be in insane paddle shape. Right? So remember, the key progression is more waves, and the key to more waves is more paddle power. Check it out at surfbasis.com. That's surfbasis.com. You're gonna be stoked.
All right, everyone. Hope you're stoked. Welcome to the Basis Surf Podcast. We got Nette Klement, who's a surf coach in El Salvador. She works with Surfing Your Fears, the Salty Souls, and the Salty Club. Really nice backhand, hails from Holland of all places, and we're definitely going to get into her story and with that, which I think is going to be a very interesting story. But first, let's talk about, because we were chatting about some topics to discuss today. And I know one of the biggest things that people struggle with, this is something that you focus on a lot, and it's kind of the name of the Instagram handle that you guys have, is dealing with fear, right? So you have that Instagram handle, Surf Your Fears, with Alex Novoa. But tell us a little bit about kind of your philosophy and your approach to dealing with fear, because I know this is something that a lot of your clients deal with.
Let me see where to start. I think as we all have different fears, right? And it really depends on how you grew up, how you feel about fear, if you're like really fearful person or not. And like that is something you can't really change anymore, I think. Like for me personally, I grew up only with my mom. Like she was very careful, and so I'm a very fearful person. Says we've also been teaching people that are completely opposite, like they're reckless, they have no fear at all, and to just go for it. And you definitely see a difference in how fast people learn, depending on how fearful they are. But what you can learn and what fear is mostly about is a lack of information. Like often we're scared of something just because we don't really know what's happening, like the current, for example, or when you have a big hold down, like what is actually happening in your body, what's actually happening on the water, like are you actually like, gonna die or not, like what is happening, and having all those, like often it's just a lack of information that makes you more fearful. And so our approach is first giving you the information that is missing, that's making you scared of those certain things. So for a lot of people, it's just very basic stuff like breathing and breath holds, and just knowing how the current works, how the waves work, and where to be, where not to be, and also accepting the fear of like a bigger wave. Like it's completely normal that you're scared of a wall of water coming at you. And so we just kind of like, the approach is to find what is missing, what is the information missing to help you deal with those fears. Like you're not just gonna get over them, they're gonna be there, but how can you work with them instead of like them holding you back, kind of. I'd say that is shortly, like in a short version, our approach and what we do.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's interesting to hear that you you struggle with fear, because I've seen you surf, pumping waves up, some heavy some heavy waves on your backhand, and you don't seem to be struggling too much. You're going up into that lip and you're going for it. So was this something that you struggled with, like when it came to surfing? Because I feel like surfing can almost be a different realm, but like, did you struggle with it? And then what were some of the things like I understand your general approach, and I think it's great. Like, what were some of the things that really helped you overcome your fears when it came to surfing bigger waves, for example? Was there anything that was like a big game changer for you?
I feel like my process was really, really slow, and I did a lot of things. Like, I did all the mistakes you can possibly imagine as I was just trying to teach myself and like figuring out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there was many years of just, uh, I would say not wasted years, but I like had too small of a board. I was popping up on my knee. I like would just well at some moment I was even called nosedive Nette. I would just nosedive all the time. And so I feel like it was a very slow process, but then little by little, like things. It was like people I met on the way that gave me little advices, or like I guess in a way of eating so much shit, wiping out so much in
Yeah.
like waves that maybe I should not have been in, um, did help me overcome that. And then
Yeah.
I did, like as a kid, I really loved to be in the water, so I was very comfortable underwater. I never really had that fear of like being held underwater too long because I was like a water monster, or like every as long as I could, I would be in the water. And
Oh,
so
that's
I
good.
feel that was not so much my fear. It was more like getting the information that, like, how did the current work and all those things, and like just realizing that all the mistakes I was making were like causing me to wipe out all the time. And so
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
like slowly I built my confidence, but it was really like it was not a fast learning curve at all. It was like lots of ups and downs, and being plateaued for like a long time. I would like
Zigs and
be,
zags.
yeah, like we would be hours in the water and not catch a single wave. Like it happened so much. And so uh, like I really dedicated my, I don't know, I dedicated my life to, I want to learn how to do this thing. I want to learn how to surf. But if I look back, I'm like, like what kept me going? And I think it was just that, like proving myself that I could. But it was
Hmm.
yeah, it was not an easy process. Like everyone back home would ask me, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I don't really know. Like I just really want to learn. I want to learn how to surf."
Yeah.
And then I would just be wiping
Yeah. Well,
out.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that your journey has to be super inspiring to a ton of people, because I would imagine there's so many people that are just like they're scared of surfing as well. They're scared of, a shoulder high wave, a head high wave. And to hear that you went through that whole journey yourself and you're surfing, pumping double, well overhead waves, at a heavy wave, like I think that that's super inspiring. So people can realize, hey, it is possible for you to push past your fears. And clearly you've done that, right? So you mentioned how you were in a plateau for a really long time and you were able to break out of that plateau. Do you remember what exactly it was that broke you out of that plateau?
Well, I feel I had many plateaus, like different ones. But I remember the first big one was just daring to like drop the wave down. I would always stay on top of the wave. And
Yeah.
then people would tell me you just have to paddle longer. I was like, yeah, I know, but I just was so scared of that feeling of like dropping down,
Yeah.
that that was like a huge, like once start realizing you actually your board needs to go down, then I was like, okay, like that was like a huge plateau for me, that I finally was like, oh, okay, that's how you can catch waves, that was from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I've had different plateaus of, I guess, of every different thing, like generating speed on your front side, like how do you do that? And then first just always being too slow. And I think that plateau really got, or like I broke through that or learned how to get better at that because of surf skating.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess the same was like surfing backside. I didn't really surf backside before I came here to El Salvador. Like I would always surf beach breaks and I would just choose to go left, like so left
Right.
again. And
Yeah.
so like learning to surf backside, that was a big plateau as well. Like I just avoided it at any time, and so when I moved here to El Salvador, like I had to go backside. And so,
Yeah. That's so funny, right? Because that's such like this it's so hard to do. Like learning how to go backside can be so difficult to do. And it's funny because I live in New York in Brooklyn, right? And our main break, mostly we have lefts here in Long Island, right? So pretty much if you're goofy footed, like you only know how to go left. And then if you travel anywhere else, you don't know how to go backside and you're just like screwed. Whereas I almost feel like I'm lucky that I have to go backside here at Rockaway because I also can naturally go front side as well and I can do both, you know, and then I'm not
yeah.
stuck just doing one. But it's interesting that you know, you're goofy and then you go to the land of right hand points, you know, and you're just surfing the beach break and there's like perfect right hand point, but you're like, nah, I'm just gonna go surf the beach break so I can go front side. Was there anything so I definitely want to talk more about the surf skates and how that helped you. But let's talk about, you know, going backside because I think this is a topic we haven't talked a ton about. You know, on the podcast. I don't know why it just doesn't come up as much, but you know, what were some of the things that really you struggled with a lot that that you were able to figure out that really helped you?
Mm, I think first taking off, like the main thing of backside is always like you just want to look down somehow. Like your body just has that, and it just immediately makes your either your pop up bad or you just don't make the takeoff. So I think that was a big thing of like learning. Like front side, you naturally kind of want to look where you're going, but backside, I think it just I don't know, it goes down your gaze. So that was
Mm,
a big part, and then. Mm, I think one of the things that really helped me figure out backside is realizing that you're still like your top turn is still a front side turn, like you're on your toe side. And
right.
so, uh, like once you realize that it's just surfing front side, but the opposite way, like you're
Mm,
you're still doing toes and heels, both of them, but in a different order. I think that really helped to like kind of mm, what I know from surfing frontside, just move it to your backside, but you are like your top turn is now your bottom turn and your bottom turn your top turn, kind of that.
right.
And then I think generating speed backside is really complicated.
Yeah,
And
it is.
there's not many people that make it look nice, but
Yeah.
as long as you like find a way to get faster, it like don't worry about how it looks.
So what did you I mean, because you were talking earlier about generating speed and how surf skates really helped you there. Was using a surf skate going backside one of the things that helped you to figure out how to generate speed, or was that just in general?
I think generating speed backside is better to learn on a normal skateboard because it's almost like a tic tac movement that
Hmm.
on a surf skate you don't. I mean, you could practice it, but I feel like when you're surf skating, you're more practicing your front side generating speed and pumping. Like it just naturally feels better to do it there. But it doesn't mean that you can't practice it. Like what I think for that helps a lot to go on a like in a bowl like a skateboard. The wall of it is it's if it's like really kind of like a wave. And then
Right.
you just try and pump like you can do it both ways, front side and back side, and try and stay as high as you can on the wall. Like that's a really good way to get better at generating speed, I think. And then in general, I'd say just like surf skating, it's useful because um, you can just see what you do immediately as you can film it and just look at yourself. And so all the little details or like how your board reacts to certain things, like you can immediately see what you were doing and correct it. As in surfing, that's pretty hard. And so you can
Yeah.
do it over and over again. And I think that's cool. You can also create bad habits and just do them over and over again. So it's it's important that you kind of know what you're doing and um,
Right.
yeah. But for
Well,
me, it really helped me in progressing. Like I would go
yeah.
back to Holland and not surf, but surf skate, and then I would come back somewhere with waves, and I would just do things that I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that.
That's sweet. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you want to make sure not to do? So, like, I'm sure people are going to be like curious about surf skates and like they're going to go to, find a little bank or something like that. But like, what are some important things to make sure not to do? Because that's pretty important as well.
I think first is having a good basic posture and sticking with that and making sure every time you're like stand on that board, you're gonna be in that basic posture. And then don't wiggle like when you're trying to generate speed there. It's really easy on a surf skate to kind of just wiggle your way with getting some speed. So never do that as it's gonna be hard to unlearn that again. And then I would, yeah, either like look at videos how to do it or get a good coach that explains you well.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think it's interesting though, do you think that, because we were talking about fear earlier, like how much does fear play in when you're surf skating as well? Because it's concrete, Does that
Uh-huh.
something that you have to deal with, or what
Yeah,
do you recommend there?
I feel, uh, yeah, like if you have skated before on a normal skateboard, then there's no fear in surf skating really because it's so much easier than a normal skateboard. But if you've never been on a skateboard, it's a whole like there's so much fear, especially in adults learning. Like I'm afraid of the concrete. And I'm like, yeah, me too. So it's just learning like very step by step. And I think most people like once they have tried it, they realize it's not as scary as it seems. And like especially when you just go little by little and like don't go in the bowl the first day, like wait,
Yeah.
like become really good at the flat, feel comfortable, like getting on and off and like everything. But
Right.
I mean, in a bowl, I am still scared. Like when you have a wall and you have to go and hit it, like I'm scared to fall. So then I'd say put protection gear and it takes a little bit of fear away, like get comfortable falling on that. But it like it is just you get injured quicker than in water. So
Yeah.
I think I have more respect for concrete than for the water for sure.
Yeah, I mean, understandable. I have a lot of
Uh-huh.
friends that skate that have like that don't skate as much. They surf as well, but they like don't skate as much because they've just gotten so injured from skating,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's like there's a certain age that you can skate until, and then it starts to just wear on your bodies too much. You said
Yeah.
that, and I remember I was looking, on your Instagram, and you said you were like working on this turn for like a really long time, and you finally figured it out on the surf skate, and then it finally worked in real life. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that sounded super interesting.
I think that was my backside snap
Hmm.
on like a vertical, no, it wasn't even that vertical wall in the bowl, and so it was just that fear of like inclining that hold me back. Like I would always go like kind of like well not 90 degrees up, like very 45 degrees, and then do like a little snap there. And so it just, I remember, yeah, when I was working on that, it was really like doing it over and over and over again. And so many times I would be too scared to like hit it, but eventually it worked. And I remember that after that, I tried it in the water and it just like not always works, but I feel like there was definitely sometimes that like, oh, this is what it feels like, like that moment of like that it clicks that you're like, I've felt this before.
Right.
So that,
So you think so? Do you think working on the surf skate is a really good way to work on your backhand snap? It sounds like it.
uh-huh. I guess at anything, your front side snap too, your bottom
Right.
turns. Um,
Right.
yeah, you can you can work on all the little details if you want, but then it's still like if you don't apply it in the water and like you have to figure out how to apply it in the water on which wave. Like that's the part you cannot learn in skating, right?
Right. right, for sure.
Uh,
Um, but it allows you to get way more reps in, and then you feel more comfortable, and you're like, I've been in this situation before. It's a little bit different, and then you just kind of use that muscle memory, and then you use it in the water, and then that helps with everything. Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely see that. I've interviewed a lot of coaches, and they talk about the benefits of surf skates, and I'm kind of curious to like try it a little bit more. But that's pretty cool. Um, so, why don't we dig a little bit into kind of your story a little bit further? We've alluded on it, we've hinted on it. I mean, you don't hear of many surf coaches coming from Holland. Tell us a little bit about your story, because I'm sure it's like inspiring to go from being scared to even like drop into a wave to, surfing, pumping Punta Roca. That's an interesting story. So, how did you get into surfing in Holland?
uh, I started. I think I was like 17. I had my first summer job on one of the islands in Holland. There's some islands that have a little bit of waves sometimes. In general, in Holland, you do have waves, but it's just very inconsistent. I guess it's a bit like New York, but maybe less waves even. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just tried out surfing for the first time there, and I remember that all my friends I tried it with, they were like, "Yeah, it's cool, whatever," and I like tried it once, and I was like, "This is I want to learn this. Like, this is what I need to do in life."
Giving up everything.
Yeah, and so after high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to study, and I just was like, well, then I just want to like learn how to get better at surfing. And I didn't really like, I knew I liked teaching. I was teaching snowboarding as well. So then it just became the goal to get good enough at surfing so I would be able to teach. And that was definitely not going to happen in Holland. As every time I would have to,
Yeah.
there was no waves. So I just looked for places in the world, like random. I would message like a bunch of like surf hostels and surf camps to come and work for them just in exchange to be able to live there and like eat and surf.
Yeah.
And so my first like further away trip, I was 19 and I went to South America. And the only plan I had was I had a little job at a hostel in Peru at a little beach town, and I just went without knowing Spanish and
Oh
without
my God.
really knowing to surf. And I went there and I like surfed every day, or I'd say I was trying to surf every day. What I remember from that trip, because the waves were really strong in Peru to learn to surf,
Yeah.
um, is that I spent most of the time underwater and I at least broke like 5 boards.
Oh my God.
And I had no clue what I
Wow.
was doing. Uh,
Wow.
but that was like the start of that. And yeah, I went to Ecuador afterwards, and uh, yeah, there it was a little better. And I
You get to
felt
go front side the whole time there, you know?
no,
Isn't it a lot of
Ecuador was
lefts there in
also
Ecuador?
where I was. It was a right hand point break as well. But I
Ah,
was just
okay.
like there. I would be 8 hours in the water. Like I would literally be in the water all day and just would be happy with one wave if I would catch one. The crowd was pretty,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I just thought that that was surfing. Like the process of surfing is you catch one wave every day. Um,
Yeah.
and then like I went back and did my instructor course. I was not a good surfer at all, but it was good enough to pass. And yeah, then I just started working at different surf schools and camps and would get paid a little bit. And that kind of made that I was able to like meet different instructors as well and different people that gave me like I guess good advice on the way. And I remember this one guy, it was a Brazilian older guy, and it was on the Canarian Islands. I was teaching with him, and he was uh, like the first thing when he saw me surf was like, "Why are you on that small board? You're not catching any waves."
Mm,
I was like,
mm-hmm.
"Hi, is that not what's supposed to be when you're learning?" He's like, "No, like just get on, like try this board." And he gave me like, I think I was on a 5'11", and he gave me like a 6'4" that he
Yeah.
had, and I just caught for the first time. I caught like 20 waves, in one
Oh.
session. I was like, what? Surfing can be this easy? And so that I feel like that was maybe my biggest like when you asked before like plateau, but it was definitely that surfing too small of a board for too long, just because someone told you that's a really good board, you should buy it. Like
Mm-hmm.
the pros can surf really well on it, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Oh my God. Got
Yeah. So that was sorry, that was mm, my first step to like catching more waves, and I feel like then it kind of got more like it. Yeah, like once you start catching more waves, it just goes faster, right? And so I served, yeah, a lot in Europe afterwards, like France, Portugal, Spain. Also, a lot of small waves in the summer, and just like on a fun board or on a foam board and playing around. I think that was very helpful too. And
hmm
then I did another trip to Central America, which was, I remember that was the first time I was really scared of the waves, like in Costa Rica on the beach break when it got really big. And I
hmm
remember I would have to keep reminding myself that it was just water. Like that was my mantra. Like it's just water, you're gonna survive. So I think that was the first time I actually caught like a bigger wave, and it was, I don't know, the adrenaline was really addictive, I guess.
But
And
then
then
you're like, you want more big waves then after that too, huh?
uh-huh. Yes. But I
Nice.
feel like that got more and more here in El Salvador as it just like as soon as I was here all year round, like the waves just get so big that either you don't surf or you try, you know.
Right, right, right.
But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I was not scared. Like I was scared many times.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
It was interesting because maybe you could tell us about this. Alex was talking to somebody and he was like, yeah, like, sometimes people are scared of the rocks. You're talking about information and how that helps people get over their fear, right? And he was talking about, yeah, you should be, he was like, should you really be more scared of the rocks or should you be actually more scared of the sand? Could you
Uh-huh.
elaborate on that? I think that that's an important point. And obviously it depends what break, but like, you know what he's talking about?
Yes, I think well, it was one of my big fears, rocks, actually.
Mm, okay.
Um, as I had to on the way, like trying to learn, I definitely got taken to spots where I should not have been. And
Yeah.
I once had a misunderstanding as well in Spanish, and I thought you had to climb on the rocks to get out of the water, and it wasn't like only locals would do that, not the
Oh,
beginner
oh
like me.
no.
And so I
Oh
had a
no.
really, really bad experience.
Oh,
I was so scared of the rocks, and then yeah, when I came here, like the first 2 years, I didn't even go to Punta Roca just because of the name. Like I was like, I'm not
yeah.
gonna surf that wave. Like
Right,
I'm
right, right.
scared for rocks. And so slowly, I mean, the wave is so perfect that at some point you have to try. But
Right.
I would go be in the rocks and I would be shaking, and I would just almost like fall over just because I was shaking so
Those
much.
rocks are gnarly. I mean, like
They are.
the pros, I remember, they when they held the CT event, like pros were falling and ripping their feet up. Like it's
Uh-huh.
gnarly there for sure. Okay,
Yes.
sorry, continue with your story.
So I feel like he actually was one of the persons that kept telling me like rocks are not so bad. Like the sand can be way more dangerous because often when the waves break on the rocks, like it's gonna be way deeper than like a shore break on the sand, where you
Right,
can just like fall with your head on the sand and break your neck.
right.
And so, like I think that's what he was coming from, of like
Yeah,
the rocks are not so like maybe the sand is more dangerous. I guess the rocks are just like they cut you open, you know. Like
right.
but that's maybe not the worst that can happen. A little cut on your feet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm thinking obviously of like the closeout like at section at El Zonte is
Uh-huh.
super heavy. It's
Yeah.
super heavy,
And there's no rocks there.
Yeah, there's no rocks there. It's just all sand. And it could be not even that big of a day, but it'll dump on that sand and you can get messed up there. Or
Yes.
like if you surf Matador, like right, there's like guys that have broken their backs out there. So the
Yeah.
sand definitely can be very gnarly. And I mean, rocks are scary too. Don't get me wrong. You can't get in trouble with them, but like Yeah, it is a matter of perspective, and I think sharing that information so people know it is better. Although I'm feeling now that we just said that, people are going to be like, "Oh my god, I gotta avoid the sand now." They're going to be scared of everything. They're going to be like, "I'm scared of the rocks and the sand. I'm just not getting in the water." Uh,
Yeah.
but but yeah, no, it's always such an interesting thing because the way fear works, where it's because when you have that fear response, literally what's going on is you have all these neurochemicals that are jacking up and exaggerating all of your responses. So
Mhm.
what looks like a mouse is actually or what looks like a tiger is actually just a little kitty cat. And so much of like overcoming that fear, I find, is like seeing it and thinking it's a tiger, and then you're just like, it's not actually a tiger, and then you just get used to it, and then you begin to see it like, oh, it's just a kitty cat, right? So much of it is just like
Uh-huh.
normalizing that experience, and like it's all exposure therapy. Like you surf Punta Roca for the first time and you catch like you're out there and it's pumping, you're scared, but then you spend enough time out there when it's pumping, you're like, oh, I'm kind of used to this now, right? And then you're gradually able to let it go. um, and I don't know, what is your recommendation? I feel like this is very personal though, right? Like some people like to approach the things that they're scared of in this very incremental approach. Well, they'll just be like, okay, I surfed a 3 foot wave. Okay, now I'll surf a 3.5 foot wave. Now I'll surf like a 4 foot wave. Like they just gradually inch up. And then others are like, I just need to like toss myself over the ledge and then I'll just jump into it. Like what is your opinion? What is your opinion?
I
How do you like to do it?
For me personally, I think I've done both.
Yeah.
But I've also tossed myself like a little too high and then kind of got pushed like all the way back down. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'd say doing it gradually for me is like a safer approach that you are not going to get traumatized or hurt. And
Yeah.
so it's probably more of a steady curve. Like
Yeah.
tossing you just out there can maybe make your progress like a lot faster, but it can also, you have like the danger of getting
Right.
traumatized. And so it's
Yeah.
finding like a balance with that. I yeah, I'd say it's good sometimes to be like that, like really out of your comfort zone in a safe space where you maybe have like a person that you trust is there with you, and like if something happens, you're not like they're not just gonna let you drown. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I feel like that really helped for me to. Some days I would be like, it's too big, I can't do it, and then Alex would be like, no, we're go like you're totally capable of surviving out there, like let's
Mm,
go. And just
right.
knowing that he was there, like I I'd be feeling more safe, and uh, maybe I would just catch one wave and like I would avoid the bigger sets or whatever. But then at least next time when I would go and the waves were smaller, I was like, oh, this is easy. Like it's good to
Yeah.
kind of push yourself that much in a
Yeah.
way that it's safe. But I wouldn't say like just go on a day when there's no one out and it's like 10 feet. Like, wait, I don't know, like wait
Yeah.
for you. Like, I would not recommend just throwing yourself out there.
Right.
So
I
kind of,
think that is the thing about the ocean, right? Like it could just be head high right now, and then the next thing you know, it's like massive. Like the swell sometimes just shows up and it just pops up. So I definitely agree. In the ocean, it's generally better to just like push yourself incrementally because the ocean already is just so dynamic. So I think I agree with that. But that's obviously why it's good, especially if you're somebody that struggles with fear in the ocean. I think having a coach can be so useful because they can give you that objective like perspective, like, hey, this is actually a very safe space to be, and that can give you a lot of perspective. And so I know you do coaching with the Salty Souls and the Salty Club. Is that part of like what you guys do on those retreats as well, or?
yeah, definitely. I'd say um, we always have very different levels on those retreats. Like, it's from beginners to like people who know how to catch waves. So it's always looking what is like their comfort zone and what is like out of the comfort zone, and how can we push you like just enough to feel like, well, it their retreats are all about empowerment, like women empowerment. So to like push yourself just enough that you feel like proud of yourself and empowered, and I don't know, kind of bringing that home with you. So
Yeah.
no matter the level, there's always like you're out of the comfort zone where you can learn.
So you're pushing beginners into pumping Punta Roca waves. Is that what happens on those retreats?
Exactly. Especially low tide when it's barreling, you know?
Perfect. Sign
Yeah.
me up. I need some empowerment. That sounds perfect for me. Oh, that's cool. No, that sounds great. So what else do your clients struggle with when they come on these retreats? Like, for example, like, do they struggle a lot with paddling when they come? I mean, where you have clients from probably all over the place. Like, do they struggle with paddle fitness?
For sure. Especially people who are landlocked. Like when they come, I think their main realization is that they should have done something to stay surf fit. And I mean, I experience the same if I go back to Europe and I don't surf, or when I get sick. I just was sick recently, and then today I tried to surf, and my strength was just, I don't know, it was just gone. So I feel it's a really big thing in surfing. Like your paddle fitness is like one of the most important things to make your surf enjoyable.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, I remember when I would go on surf trips and like I didn't train, and it would be like feel good for a couple days, and then by like day three, I'm just like smoked, and then I just spend the rest of the trip just like in pain and agony and just like bummed because it's pumping and I'm not getting any waves because I'm too tired. I very vividly remember that. I very, very vividly remember that. It sucks. But luckily you live in El Salvador, so you get to surf every day. So you don't really have to worry about that much anymore, huh? But I guess when you go back to Holland, then you come back and then you're like, I
Uh
gotta
huh.
get back
Yeah,
into it.
sometimes when I'm working a lot and not surfing much, like I feel it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I guess things slow down. Although it's been pumping over there, right? Or has it slowed down yet at all?
Yeah, right now the waves got small. I think the
Uh,
forecast looks like 2 to 3 foot for the next
oh,
2 weeks.
okay. Oh,
So
got it,
the,
got it.
the machine slowed down a little.
I could I could not believe it when I was there. It was like just, yeah, pumping. It was so fun though. It was super fun. All right, well, we got to work towards closing up. It was super fun chatting, but I had a couple finishing questions that I wanted to get at. First one is, what is your intention when you surf? Like, what goes through your mind when you're surfing?
Ooh. Um, I feel, I'd say ideally my intention, like what I want to have every day is just to have fun. I know that sometimes like we lose that part a little bit, and
Hmm.
especially on like like a crowded lineup, or the waves are just super slow, or I don't know, sometimes it's just you that you're feeling like nothing is working and no wave is coming, or like all the waves are running away from you. And just, yeah, like my intention, I guess, is always just to have a good time and enjoy being out there. Um, but it's not that I'm always 100% successful in that.
Yeah, right. That's so hard. That's super hard. It's funny because I remember I was in the lineup and I was chatting with somebody. And he was just like, you needed to, he was like, I love your podcast, but you need to do more stuff on the mental side. And so this is why talking about the fear is a really good one. But I don't think he was scared, but what he struggled with was just getting frustrated with himself. Like he was like, I just get so, like, he's like, I should be catching waves, but I'm not catching the waves. I'm just getting so frustrated with myself. And then I'm not having a good time, and I'm probably like surfing worse because I'm so preoccupied with how bad I am right now. Like,
Uh-huh.
it is something that I think a lot of surfers struggle with. Like, what has there been anything that's helped you kind of get out of that mindset? Like when let's say you're in that mood where you're just fixated on just like things going wrong. What has helped you get out of that mindset and kind of just having fun again?
Ooh, that's a hard one, a good one, and that I struggle with a lot myself as well. And like I do think surfing is a constant mirror of your life in general. Like if that's something you struggle with in surfing, it's for sure something you struggle with in life too.
Hmm.
And uh, I think it's something that you cannot just learn like overnight. Like it's a lifelong process that constantly you have to remind yourself that uh, like why are you surfing? Like what
Yeah.
what's the point if you're so frustrated? Like it's not even fun anymore. So well, then why are you doing it? And so kind of talking to yourself in a nice way, and reminding yourself that. But it's definitely something that I didn't like. I find myself doing that a lot of like getting frustrated, and then I try to remember that sometimes it helps to change like the like if I'm here at the point, I would just paddle over to the beach break and see if like I have more fun there. Or sometimes it's actually getting out of the water and just be like, today is not my day. You know, tomorrow is a new day.
Right.
Um, and sometimes it's just talking to myself in the water, like what's your problem? Like just go go and
I like that. Yeah.
and if I'm really like stuck in that mindset, as I definitely have had that before, it helped me to just go on like a fun board or like my fish or even like a long board or foam board, just change it up and like just try and like have fun on that instead of focusing on I need to get better or I need to catch waves on the board I'm on. So kind of switching scenery or like surfboard. So
Yeah.
you remind yourself that it's just about having fun.
Wow, I love that. That there's so many useful tactics that you gave there, right? I think I love that, right? Like it's funny how like, like if your friend asks you like, "Hey, how are you surfing?" You'd be like encouraging. You'd be like, "Yeah, you're doing good," like you're going to be supportive. But then when you look at yourself, you're like, "You dumbass, you did this, you did that," It's like so funny how harsh you can be on yourself. And like, so you're talking about how important it is to just talk gently to yourself. That's so important, right?
Uh-huh.
And I love the idea of like just resetting with a different board. Because that totally can transform the experience. Like so much of like frustration with surfing is like, I'm just not getting the waves that I want. And you just go out and you're not getting the boards, and then you just get on a bigger board and you'll probably have more fun. Like, that story you told of like struggling on that 511 and you got on that 6'4", and then you go from catching one wave a day to 20, like, that can
Yeah.
happen for sure. And I think a lot of people like make it really hard on themselves, so I love all that. I love all that. All right. So if you were going to surf the same wave for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mm. Uh, it's hard, but I would say maybe Punta Mango in El Salvador.
You're going backside. All right. You
Uh-huh.
love going back. Well, I mean, obviously you love going backside, but all right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like I haven't like ever since I started surfing better, I haven't really surfed a really good left point break. So I don't really
Mm,
have anything to compare it with.
yeah. 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 For sure.
But yeah,
Okay.
for now, I'd say I like surfing backside maybe more than frontside, just because
Yeah.
like I do it a lot more regularly.
Right. Right. And what board would you bring on to a deserted island? Let's say it has Punta Mango in front of it.
Oh, right now I have a Almeric 6.0, and I think it's a flyer.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Classic board.
I would bring that.
Sick. All right. We got it. And how should people find you if they want to find out more? So there's Surfing Your Fears. What's your Instagram handle again?
It's just surfing your fears.
Okay. Oh no, your
And then
personal
my
one.
my
Yeah.
personal one, it's it's Nette, but with three E's and then three E's again. So Nette.
I
I don't
love
know
it.
why.
Just got to make it hard for everybody.
Yes,
Cool.
exactly.
Well, it was very fun chatting. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
All
It was
right.
an honor and it was fun.